Dear Dhamma friends, today is the 5th day in our retreat, 20th of June. So accordingly, it will be the 5th talk in our series. May everyone settle down and give the consent with 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Punacha parang auso bhikkhu dhammakamo hoti piya samudaharo. Abhidhammi abhivinaye ulara pamojjoti. Dear Dhamma friends, we have taken this particular sutta named as Sangiti Sutta, and in this we have taken these 10 points pertaining to one's protection, and day by day we tried our best to understand with respect to our spiritual life, our meditative life, and accordingly we have already discussed about 5 points, and the 6th one is the one expressed with the quotation that I have already recited just now, and that indicates the person start to love the Dhamma, to take delight in the truth or the teaching of the Dhamma, and delight in the hearing more and more deep, or practicing in the sense more and more deep. So that is why it says he is especially fond of the profound teaching and the depth of the discipline, and that called Abhidhamma and Abhivinaya. So this is kind of, as far as the spiritual life is concerned, becoming to the adolescence, passing the teenage, shaping up one's career towards the Dhamma, and therefore it is a very good episode, one stage in one's life. And so far the things that we discussed, that is the moral concern, responsibility, and listening to the Dhamma away from one's own worldly knowledge, and association with noble friends, and developing the skillfulness towards the monastic life or Boy Scout or Girl Guide, like one's ability to understand the social context and help it, and that kind of qualities giving a good challenge for a dynamic person. And when and where these things are being fulfilled, it's a very auspicious, very gifted kind of a life. And when because very rarely only one can gain this kind of background. When that is happening, it's difficult to say whether you have to take a step conscious decision towards to be a Dhamma lover, or to be delight in Dhamma, delight in hearing the deep Dhamma, or whether it is a kind of an outcome of the causative factors or conducive conditions surrounded by. Whatever it may be, it is a very good threshold, doorway one to understand, and there are a lot of things going to take into a shape, social aspects as well as internal things. So therefore each and every person endeavoring towards one's own spiritual life comes to know there is a kind of a adolescence in spiritual life. They kind of a special delight, special attention goes to deep Dhamma as well as deep Vinaya, that is the moral responsibilities. Earlier he or she would have listened to, but there is no commitment as such, no conscious decision, now that magnetizing effect is going to happen. Of course, with my personal experience, that is much dependent on the external factors, how much spiritual friends you are in your vicinity, and how much your accessibility to learn or listen Dhamma, and what kind of a society you are associating. If they are crazy with only the economic aspects like supply and demand kind of thing, you find very difficult to keep up with your spiritual life. And other people, like they are very selfish and no consideration for others, they are also, you may feel very exhausted. So if you are lucky enough to get all these conditions, of course not up to the theoretical maximum, some kind of, that is that according to the traditional presentation, it says this is due to your past meritorial deeds, maybe in the past life. That is why you are lucky to have all kind of these endowment. And on top of that, now we have to go into the higher gear or conscious decision and more delight towards the Dhamma going to happen. So then and there, the same thing what you have done, that means same thing you have heard, now you are going to listen with little care about the grammar, the presentation, the meaning, word meaning kind of thing. Not only you are just listening and reciting it, but penetrating little by little. So you may start asking questions, writing your short notes, and research into according to the traditional way, the Pali terms, and likewise your study become going to take shapes and branching out, flowering, things are going to happen. So when it is happening, those who are more to the secular side or to the sensuous pleasure find that relationship is little frictional, and they will not be happy to promote or appreciate your character. Instead, they may find you are something wrong with you, and therefore you can understand. But those who are spiritually motivated people will take special delight and take care and give the protection and try to fulfill your things. That is why this stage is very related to the society what you live. And in the adolescence, in our normal life, usually you find your parents and elders are not enough. You must have your peer group, and association with the peer group is good and bad. If it is not so, your development will be partial. And if it is too much with the adolescents, the peer group, you will be very arrogant with the parents. So this kind of a thing in the spiritual life. So if you are lucky enough to get mindfulness societies or people interested in the pragmatic side of the Dhamma, then that is utterly or merely due to your past deeds. Because by your wish or by your conscious decision, it is difficult to find it. And if you can get it, that is because you have past good deeds, and therefore that will be a very good promotion, very facilitating. In my case, most of the people I associated was lay people. Many are one or two generations elder than me, but anyway I didn't find any kind of a gap, any kind of a friction to associate them. Only the doubt I had was, I was such a nasty fellow. I was no any moral integrity in me. And when I go there, they accept me. I can't imagine. Because I felt so embarrassed. I thought I am not a full-fledged member among them. So, but whenever I go there, they were very cordial. And it was something odd for me. But anyway, I felt very good to have that kind of a companion. But as far as my personal viewpoint is concerned, their discussions and everything happening is in English. My English is not up to the mark. And they are fairly well versed with the Pali and the Tripitaka kind of a monastic language. My Sinhala grammar, English grammar, Pali, never up to the mark. But anyway, I had kind of a entertainment, kind of a delight. And 2 events I can remember as far as my personal life is concerned. I used to go to some talks delivered by Venerable Dhammika. He was my immediate mentor kind of thing. And one day there was one foreigner came and he did research in Sri Lanka after the Buddha Jayanti, that means after 1956. At that time he wanted to check how much the Vipassana side, how much the meditation part of the in Sri Lankan Buddhism is improving. So he was doing a social survey, and accordingly he came to Venerable Dhammika, and one day he asked Venerable Dhammika, Bhante, thank you very much for the cooperation that you give, but I can understand how much the monks, they are well versed in Pali and they are delivering talks and kind of thing, and is there any kind of a lay people showing that kind of a character? One day he will be a monk, one day he will be a scholar, and among the other people with the secular interest, is there any kind of young people you find in your experience? Then directly Venerable Dhammika pointed to me, this guy, he is now reading Tripitaka. This is the first time I see a young person, at that time I was lay, young person directly reading the teaching of the Buddha. So it was something new for me, because whenever I have a chance, of course I was doing a job, it's a very demanding one, always I had one textbook with me. My understanding on Pali and the translated Sinhala was so disturbing, but anyway I was reading. And Venerable Dhammika found there's a special feature in the young people in Sri Lanka take interest. So I found that was my not intrinsic nature. Due to the association it happens. Later, due to a reason, good or bad, Venerable Dhammika left the country, and meanwhile there was a small group, maybe 5 people at a time. They come together 2 hours per week, Wednesday 1 hour, Sunday 1 hour. Sunday they sit together silently meditating, Wednesday they take one sutta and discuss. So I was so addicted to that, 3 years without missing, I daily go there. And they close to within our campus area. So one day when Dhammika left, I was upset. And I thought that without him I have no connection. Yet another member I met near the hospital and asked, where is your friend? Then I told, he is not my friend, this is your friend. He was helping me, he has gone. Then I told, I will not come again to the discussion. What are you talking about? For the last all 3 years, you are the person who got the maximum benefit out of our discussion. We are looking forward to you. So don't lose. Then I told, no, I don't feel that kind of a high membership among yourself. And Dhammika was the only friend. No. We were thinking and discussing because you are a regular attendance. So these two gave me a kind of a boost. Without knowing me, I had kind of a attraction, and I am assuring you, meanwhile, I had no any concern about the precepts. I was not a moral being. I was the same old person, but this attraction to the Dhamma. And of course, by that time, most of my close friends came to know I had something wrong with me, and they were suggesting me to go to a psychiatrist and something. So Buddha would have said it is the Dhammakama, that means attention to and the love to the Dhamma and delight in the hearing. But from the worldly beings, something wrong. So I can imagine when you are addicted to drugs, when you are addicted to alcohol, or any gambling, exactly the same. So, whatever you take delight, that take time, that give the full explanation for your life. And Dhamma also has such an addiction. That's it. If you are addicted, you will be magnetized. And you find the people, you find the places, you find the other everything. But if it is not so, even your parents are asking, even your priest is asking, even if you are influencing other people, it never works. So therefore, by investing little bit, you yourself has to be judgmental about yourself or critical, and that is happening. You don't feel, you can't gauge the development, the progress. Your criterion, your yardstick is very narrow, very very stereotype. But something happening. So only thing is you have to keep on doing the same thing. And if it is wrong, double mistake. If it is correct, double positive. That's the way in life. So when it is happening in the meditation, as far as the listening is concerned, you start writing, questioning, and kind of a special attention, and then research. Doing this book, that book in English, in Pali, in Sinhala, all the kind of thing is happening. And in the second part, in the meditation wise, the early part, you find very difficult to keep your posture, very difficult to keep the object in view with, very difficult to take 1 hour of complete meditation in a daily routine, because so much of multitasking, disorganized life. So you find you have to be very creative to have kind of a consistency. At that time I had so much of desire to go into the full lotus posture. Immediately I go, I feel the tension, and again I have to release, and I was waiting, asking the yoga masters, and how can I develop that? And sitting 1 hour is more than crucifixion. No, I can't imagine. And keeping the object in view with about 8 years, I tried. Of course I am trying, but I can't claim that I can keep the object in view with. But anyway, it is just mere sitting itself is something, a kind of a satisfaction. That is what I call, I think, this love to the Dhamma. And when it is happening, at the beginning, it is painfully slow. And you can't justify for what result, for what gain you are doing. It appears like a losing game, losing fight. But anyway, kind of attraction is happening. So if you can notice it, of course it depends on your Dhamma peer group. They also must be somewhat cordial with you and helpful with you. And if it is so, you don't feel much of a friction, and you get some kind of appreciation within and out, without. So when it is happening, you feel like go deep and deep into the object earlier, which was even difficult to keep face to face with. And when it is happening, the deep teachings that you gain by reading direct suttas or listening to some scholars, you feel have some bearing into your day-to-day sitting, in day-to-day walking meditation. For example, at the beginning, when and where you familiarize the in-breath and out-breath, or maybe walking meditation in right leg and the left leg, or maybe rising and falling of your abdomen, you don't know, but our gross mind, not sensitive mind, only see the peak of the in-breath, the peak of the out-breath, the peak of the rising or peak of the falling, or the most prominent part of the touching of the ground, kind of only the middle of the object. You don't know you are passing the beginning and the end. You can see the gross out-breath gushing through your nostrils, in breath, and the gushing out breath, and when and where you comes to know. Now I can consecutively see in breath after in breath, out breath after out breath. Then only you have to listen carefully, you have to analyze carefully. This is just the start. Anything in the world, the untrained mind only see the middle. They don't know the beginning, they do not wish to see the end. So therefore, whatever our knowledge in the world is on the middle of the phenomena. Never our mind naturally goes to the beginning, and going to the end appear like unauspicious, appear like a mishap, appear like not to take place. So therefore, more and more you practice, the Buddha pay the attention just to the middle of the object. That itself is an achievement to the beginner. But once that is assured, he or she has to understand, now I can see the in-breath, now I can see the out-breath, and I can predict in time to come, I can see another 10 in-breaths or 10 out-breaths without much of distraction. So much of the commanding power is developing. And there you get some space, and at that time, or synchronizing with that achievement, one has to tell you, now it is time for you to see the rising part of the in-breath, the rising part of the out-breath. If you are in the rising and falling, a rising of the rising, a rising of the falling. So it appears like a nonsense. What is it? Now with all the effort I managed to keep the in-breath and out-breath intact, face to face. Now the challenge, theoretically, practically, see the in-breath, the beginning of the in-breath, see the beginning of out-breath. For example, you have seen the sun, but you are being asked to see the rising sun. So you have to go to the seashore, the eastern part, and you have to go before the sunrise, and you have to observe from the dawn onward and how the process of sunrise. And when you see, only you see, it's what a panoramic, colorful drama. Before the sun arises, the night breaks, and then the dawn arises, and so much of different aura, colors, and ultimately slowly when the sun rising, you can see it's a very big, different shape, and it is very attractive. But during the daytime, you are wearing sunglasses. But now, you are peeping and waiting to see the rising sun. So now only you see this very scorching sun. When it is rising, it's a completely different picture. To see that, to understand that, to experience that, whatever your observation with the recent sun, not enough. You have to, someone has to come and say, hey, darling, now we have seen, we have written theses and everything about the already arisen sun. What about going and see the rising sun? It appears like some aesthetic. It appears like some adventurous and factful. And the day you go there, you may learn already arisen sun, without much preparation you can do it. But if you wish to see a rising sun, before the sunrise you have to be diligent and vigilant and be prepared. These qualities are something new to your meditative life. So far you have seen already arisen object. Now if you wish to see the rising part, your mindfulness, not mere on-the-spot mindfulness, it must be prepared. It must be, you must be go before and be prepared. That preparedness pulling you more and more to the phenomena. Therefore, the person who has seen the rising and arisen sun is completely different from the person who has already only seen the already arisen sun. So this is how your experience more going towards the conscious to subconscious. Now you try to trace the lines. The conscious mind is the mind that has already seen the recent sun. Now subconscious means you are going and be prepared and vigilant in the darkness. in the eastern coast and waiting and expecting kind of thing to sun to arise, and you can see how the dawn arises, and a lot of color combinations. At the beginning, the dawn was very red-brown, and when the sun about to arise, it slowly changes to the white color, and then only the sun is arising. The moment you see, you understand this world, we try to consider as a unit, solid, one experience, but nothing in that sort. Everything is a process. We are so far, even if we are diligent, even if we are mindful, we have seen only the already arisen in breath, already arisen out breath, arisen rising, falling, already arisen left and the right. But to be aware of the arising part, the beginning of it, that already known tactics not enough. You have to have a depth, you have to have a preparedness, you have to have the theoretical understanding, and 1001 mistakes. And to understand, even though I claim I know in breath, you have to understand that you have only partial knowledge, only part of it. But to have the fulfillment, this is not a disqualification. You must listen and go and prepare, and then one day you can say, now I have seen the arising breath and arisen, already arisen breath. So then only you can claim, and that is how the Dhamma become deep. That deep means your consciousness now prepared to understand the unconscious. From unconscious means no sun situation, how the no sun situation, the sunny situation happens. This is how from the state where no air transaction, how the first starting of the in-breath process, and from no process to have air movement process. So when you are observing, the very beginning is very mystic, it's very bewildering, very irrational, it's a very ad hoc and impromptu. So more and more you go to the just mere arising part, you have to entertain the beginner's mind. If you go any kind of a expectation or any kind of thing, all appointments will be disappointed. Completely new thing you will see, from no breath to breath, no in-breath to in-breath, no out-breath to out-breath, no sun, darkness to the sun. So when this is happening, you may understand the early part of that your exposure to the mindfulness, early part of your exposure to in-breath and out-breath, early part your exposure to the left leg and the right leg itself is a very adventurous, very new, it's a novelty. But when this is happening, the beginning to the phenomena together with the beginning is you are going to go into a kind of a depth, kind of scientific states to the mystic state, and these are interrelated to each other. More and more you practice, you will not make any comment by seeing the phenomena unless otherwise you know the beginning of the phenomena. Therefore, any decision you have taken, any comment you have made, any inference you have made, only with the arisen phenomena, never lasting, not durable. It is unbecoming. That is why our day-to-day appointments are all going to be disappointments. So instead, knowing the way we were running the game, now if you wish to understand or get more and more information, more and more feasibility study, that's when you have to see the beginning, and from the beginning, see how the end or the peak of the in-breath, right from the beginning, how is the peak of the out-breath. When it is happening, you may understand so much of facts we were not exposed, not aware, and we were so rushing to a decision, so judgmental. More and more you to observe from beginning to the middle, your observation capacity will increase and your inferential or decision making capacity will be reduced. That is what we call the maturity in our life. More and more you to see the whole phenomena, you can't make any kind of black and white decision. You see, everything is mixed, everything is a gray area. So therefore any person you know is bad, but if you know from which point onward he developed these bad characters, it is not overnight. You have no rights to tell him he is good or bad, because it's an effect of cause and effect relationship. Original trend to the badness, you also responsible. Never you can say, you can wash the hand and say, he is the one who went into that. Exactly, you are responsible. That is why that it became a case for you. More and more you go to the middle, you are more vulnerable, you are the culprit. So you will not draw a harsh decision. You will say, yes, he was conditioned to do that, and therefore he became like that. And I am a part and parcel of that conditioning, because I am a member. And if he is a good person, we are not going to say, I am the person who caused everything and I must be greater. He says, yes. This is also conditioning, and I also was part and parcel. And luckily everything happened when good and well. That's it. And when and where you are to trace back, your decision will be very grey. And that means in science we are taught experiment, observation and the inference. We used to put 3 columns in our scientific education at the grade 8. This is what we do, this is what my observation, that is my inference. Early, before you see the beginning of it, or before you learn the art of beginning of it, you are rushing to the inference with less observations. More and more you practice, you are not rushing to a decision, not judgmental, instead you increase more and more observation, and then that is called the patience, equanimity, or unshaken mind, or maturity. So then whatever the decision you are going to take, you are also involved. So therefore it is very responsible, and it is not going to make harsh black and white decision. So therefore, when and where you are to see the beginning together, the phenomena together with the beginning, that is called you are going now deep and deep into the vipassana. You are preparing your mind not to comment, not to rush, not to be judgmental, but to be observing, and that kind of observation is the word meaning of vipassana. Not judgmental, more kind of observation. Don't rush to decision, but see the gradual development. And some Westerners put it in this way: you learn the art of thin slicing of time. You are not going to accept everything as a chunk. You thin slice how the inception, how the development, how it come into the maturity. So therefore, more than the phenomena, your observation become very sensitive. You are so sharp, very thin slicing of time. Every change, little changes, everything evolution, everything metamorphosis, everything changing, you are so sharp. So ultimately observation and the observer become so close. The object as well as the meditating mind come very close. More and more you go to the beginning of the phenomena, your relationship to the object, they are so close. So more and more you feel the sap of the Dhamma, the juice of the Dhamma, so that your explanation, how the breath started from no breath situation, and how it gathered the momentum, and up to the moment where you feel the gushing in breath, gushing out breath happen. So your explanation, your observation will be very lucid, very detailed in terms of shapes and manners. More and more you close to the object, and if you have to see chronological development of the object, you can see no two episodes are equal. One thing is gives rise to the another one so quickly, it is ever changing, it's ever like a flux. Hardly you can put a label, you can make it out from the others. As far as you are with the distance with the object, as far as your observations are not continuous, you try to attribute labels, names, permanent perception. More and more you come closer, very difficult you to say the differences happening, it is so swift. So therefore, when and where you to see the depth of the Dhamma, not only listening but apply yourself, what is happening is, you are going to get enormous amount of information, and very difficult to derive even a label for that, but you feel the sap, the juice, the essence is there, irrespective whether it is in-breath or out-breath, irrespective whether it is rising and falling, irrespective whether left leg and the right leg or day-to-day affairs, everything, every phenomena. More you see partial, more you see distance, you are rushing to decision and putting labels, try to consolidate it. More and more you observe closely, you find hardly you can put a label, hardly you can get a sign, hardly you can make a decision. You become a very close observer. So that is why the Buddha first says, just listen. Just get the basic instructions. And when it is going there, the basic instruction must give a green light for you to go to the depth. When it is there, your basic instruction no more is giving any enthusiasm. So you have to go to the beginning of it. Whenever you see from the beginning to the middle, and you get lost. There's so much of information so far in our life we have lost. And ultimately you may see we have rushed to a decision because of our lack of observation, because of our distance observation, and close observation. We don't do it because we have choice. We select something better, something not good. So therefore our mind is always behind the pressure principle. So therefore we have no patience to see the beginning, the phenomena from the beginning to the end. So specifically, when and where you focus attention to the neutral object, the boredom is the one, the monotony is the one, the uncertainty is the one bewildering our mind. So enormous faith you must have, enormous energy you must have, enormous consistency of the mindfulness you must have, and for that normal man from the street can't understand Dhamma. He must have basic understanding, he must have tried his best and gone to the basics, and then only the next layer, next galvanizing information has to come, and he also or she also must be receptive and exactly apply it. When you are applying, you can see that whenever you learn the art of thin slicing of time, it is so much of information you have overlooked, gone to your blind eye, and you have catch whatever appreciating your likings and dislikes, whatever appreciating your personality trait, whatever appreciating your hobbies and habits. The rest of the thing already happened, but you have not noticed. Because you are jumping from one object to the other, just like a mad monkey. Never take time to specialize one single object from the beginning to the end. So these things are called Adhichitta Chikha. Going into the deep and deep precepts and assuming more moral responsibility is called Adhisila Sikha, that is more deep morality. And on top of that, now you are not only keeping the object face to face with, you try to see the arising part. And when that is developed, it is based on the early foundational part. And when it is happening, then Buddha says that's all you have to do. Once that is fulfilled, rest of the thing is an endowment, a gift But even then, if you know it, easy to monitor. That is to say, if whenever someone managed to see any phenomena, any experience, right from the beginning to the middle, his mind naturally goes to see the end of the same phenomena. It is nothing to trade. If you believe and if you have enough energy and the mindfulness to see from the beginning to the middle to the end is an endowment. So when it is season and practice, you can say beginning, middle and end. And there you see the middle is just the tip of the iceberg. The beginning and the end, so far you have turned a blind eye, so therefore now you see each and everything you have seen, at least there is a one beginning and the end. And if you are to claim any kind of object that you have seen, that you have experienced, you must try to see at least one object. Of course, we can say one object at a time, how the beginning, how the middle and how the end. When that is happening, you can understand your sensitivity of the mindfulness, your lucidity of the mind, your closeness, proximity to the object is going in so much of detail. So ultimately, while you are observing the development and the recession of the same object, it is so become multitasking. What is happening is right wrong. Other objects appearing and disappearing, and some in front, some in side by side, some in back, everything going to happen. But you know, your main prime task is to keep the track with the primary object. While it is observing, mind is diversifying. Mindfulness is diversifying. Everything you find with respect to this particular object that you have selected as a primary object, all the others are in the same pattern. Each and every object has its own beginning, its own end, but this phenomena and that phenomena completely separate. In-breath and out-breath is completely separate. Completely out-breath ceases to exist, then only you can see the beginning of the in-breath. And after ending the in-breath, then the out-breath happens. You find there's always a gap in between. Always end of the out-breath and the beginning of the in-breath. End of the in-breath and the beginning of the out-breath, there's a gap. Our trick of the mind, or magic of the mind, is not exposing yourself, your consciousness, to the gap and jumping from tip of the iceberg to tip of the iceberg, and it appears like a very perfect, very smooth, very consistent and very solid. Later on you come to know it's an agglomeration. So much of agglomeration between two tiny pecks, so much of gaps. And when the thin slicing of time come into being, it is like putting a thing under a microscope, and you see it is so much of shears, separation and fragility among the not only the materialistic thing, even the mental thing. This is going to happen. So when that is happening, even when you are not in meditation, even when you are in washing your dishes, when you everything, this inferential knowledge all of a sudden going to come, and you see, earlier you used to be the person engaged in the experience, but you yourself also part and parcel of the experience. External thing also part and parcel of the experience, but the mindfulness once is come into the momentum, everything become experience. So you feel like you are coming out of the experience and see how you are performing as you are under a video camera. And after the clip, you can put the camera clip into action, play slow motion, and you can see how was your performance. So this is how you are going to have a kind of a separate dimension about yourself, but still it is factual, and it is like a true friend or spiritual friend going to give a review like, but your mindfulness itself become a mirror. And everything that you do, now you say, you understand, you can't hide it from your mindfulness. Mindfulness is ever like a video camera. You see, when you go to the airport, so much of video cameras. And that is what the development in America. You are under the surveillance. You think it is for the protection of yourself, but it is the protection of the big people, not the us. But here it is not. It is for your protection. Anything you have done wrong or correct, later you can put the clip, action replay slow motion, and you can say how was my intention. Did I did it consciously, intentionally, volitionally, or something happened to me? The other person will come and say you did this and that and you are wrong. You have to accept it, yes, but you have your own video clip, and you can put it and see, yes. They can suspect, but I was not intentionally doing. It is happening due to habitual thing, but the other person has fair grounds to say you did it. So at the beginning you accept it, later you have another comparative criterion, because your own video clip. So that is how the mindfulness is going to go deep and deep. And anything what you are observing, you are not going to be contented just with the tip of the iceberg. That is, but anyway, the beginning. That's good. But penetration, going in deeper means see the beginning and the end. And once that is mastered, for example, in a retreat like this, if you are somewhat familiar with the meditation techniques and the instructions, a few days you will take into acclimatize into the situation. And now we, of course, in the 5th day, now you can see you are fairly, if you are successful, fairly familiar with the in-breath and out-breath. Soon you sit, you can't see the peak of the breath. You may see just right from the beginning, breath is very subtle. And under such circumstances, still if you are going to do beginning, the middle and the end, you will be a failure. What will happen is you will start forced breathing in order to see the beginning, the middle and the end. But that is not the idea behind. It is to say, due to your familiarity, breath is very calm, breath is very in the, not with much of spikes. And there you can understand within, together with the breath, the calmness is there, even without seeing the beginning and the middle. But if you are sharp enough, you can see, even though you are not observing the gross breath, what is your feeling towards that experience? Do you consider it as an achievement or a loss? Do you consider it as something strange or you are familiar with? So instead of the relationship with your material phenomena, now you are observed to see the mental phenomena. How do you perceive it? How do you feel it? What are you going to do with that phenomena? Even though breath is not much prominent, don't try to do forced breathing and develop and understand the beginning, the middle, and the end. Instead, see what is my outlook. Am I to consider this as something, an achievement, or as a loss? If you are not well prepared, if you are not well good in theoretical understand, often you misread it. And you think anapana or in-breath and out-breath is not my primary object. What about changing it to some other object? And asking for rising and falling, or when you do some metta bhavana or viddhanusati, instead of understanding in the proper way, you want to have some prominent experience. So, person who understands it, person who prepared, is completely different from the person unknown. In my case, it took 3 to 4 years, you won't believe. So when I go sit, immediately I find the breath is no more and start falling into sleep. And after a while get up and see others are meditating, came out of the sleep and I feel so ashamed, and I never go for interviews And one day one monk came and asked, what is the kind of meditation you are doing? I say, I feel so ashamed. I don't know anything. Then because I have to tell something, I am looking at the breath. Very good, very good. That's the best meditation in the world. Then he asked, what happened when you observe in the breath? I can say I am falling to sleep, but I am very ashamed. Then he says, I don't know, after a while what happens? Do you claim that there is no breath, so it becomes subtle? Then I don't know, because I am falling into sleep. Then he told, do you know, this is happening very rarely to a person. To a person, it's a very good thing. I was still confused. I was into bewilderment to bewilderment. Then somehow the other cut short the discussion and went off. And after 3 years' time, when I read Nissarana's book, I found at the beginning you see the gross breath. Once you familiarize, you feel the subtle breath. And if you are prepared to go forward, you will see subtlest breath. And at that time, if you are unaware of it, mind will fall into sleep. If you are aware of it, you are a very advanced yogi. You see, it has happened so much of time. But the Dhamma never come and connected with me. I thought it is something to just satisfy me. They are talking about. And this coincidence, so after so much of mistakes, discouraging mistakes, only one day the coincidence going to take place, and that day you feel like half enlightened. Because so far we has a rejection, you have the phobia, you soon use it, you collapse. Mind is hiding, because you are not following the gross breath, the middle breath, or medium breath, or subtlest part. Whenever it is come to the subtlest part, instead of the sleepiness, you must have a double dose mindfulness, boost dose. So therefore, you must be ready with the second rocket to fire at that time. But if you do not know, if you misread it, what happens is, even the first rocket gone, you are collapsed, falling into sleep. Imagine that kind of a communication to take place and to take you back into the correct track. What a coincidence. It never happened in the early part of your meditation. Even if you are judgmental and critical about you, that I have no much of time, I must know only the correct path, and therefore I must wait till the best teacher comes, I must wait till the best object of meditation happen, like never. There is no such a method, is single, only method, trial and error. Only method, trial and error. And while happening, you have to listen again and again. And sometimes you are so desperate, there's nothing to express, no progress like. But that is the progress. So the day you understand, once you see the subtle part of the breath, no more you can see the beginning, the middle and the end kind of thing. If you are still going to do, what you are going to do is force breathing, and again it is becoming distraction for you, and how to facilitate it, how to give the proper treatment for this breath. Even the Buddha can't give it to his own son. He can't give it to your beloved wife. They themselves has to do experimenting and trial and error, and one day has to understand, and the day you understand, and even then you may fall into the same trap number of times, and once you gain into that, you become dumb-bound. How can tell others? People are so result-oriented. Whenever one mistake happens, they change the teacher. They change the meditation center. They change the object of meditation. So again and again they start with the fresh thing. That means that again and again you are wasting the time. To imagine how much patience you must have. And when I go to the Burma, that Thero was very sharp on that. He told, the day you can explain what is happening without your judgmental expression, teacher can help you. If you are going to value or judge your experience and going to tell the teacher with your value judgment, it is ever misleading. And to short to the point, tell what is exactly happening. Then teacher is in a better position to share with you. But in that sense, our communication is completely negative. Because we are from the beginning, we are result oriented. Whenever sitting, we expect that to happen, this to happen, and in the meditation books it says, when the meditation is good, you met the white color. Oh, see the yellow color. Yellow color is better than white color. So you sit and wait for the yellow color to happen, and then the white color to happen. Means that what happens is, your very object is disappearing. Sleepiness sets in. You never feel like reporting it. So therefore, become two worlds, no communication. So Abhidhamma, Abhivinaya means your commitment and your sincerity and your beginner's mind, and expecting the response from your peer group or meditation teachers or advanced meditators, it is so essential. Otherwise, the meditation experience as such in individuals are nothing lacking. Everyone has almost all the experience, but they do not know how to interpret it. So much so, as far as you don't know how to interpret, it is ever negative. It's ever negative. So therefore, putting proper interpretation is the one make negative positive. Negative one become positive. That is what we call the depth of the Dhamma. For that you have to do again and again. One day the very thing you consider as the bad sittings or the useless sittings are the one the most beneficial. That is the one testing your patience. That's the one testing your trial and error. And being so, if you are continuing, the Buddha says, for such a person, not only the human, even the celestial beings are paying respect. He or she can't see any result, but still continuing. That is the one we call the founded faith, not the superficial faith, not to show others. It's a founded, well-founded with your past experience. So therefore you sit for the sake of sitting. Do utmost you can do, but don't expect anything. The day you develop that, the Buddha says, Namo te purisājanya, namo te purisuttama, yassa te na vidānāmi, yampi nissāya jhāyati. The Buddha says in number of places in the Sutta, the Devas and the Brahmas, that means the celestial beings, they says, Namo te purisājanya. May my respect for that, the purebred man. Namo te purisuttama. May my respect be with that pure man. He who is meditating regularly, but he do not know for what. As far as you have any hope, that's an inferior kind of meditation. You are doing meditation for the meditation. That is what the Buddha phrase, and Buddha says, not I am phrasing, he says he is not only the human, but the Deva and Brahma also phrasing. You see, our world is so much result oriented. Our world is so much with the supply and demand theory. So anything, if someone to say that the most important thing is to do it for the sake of doing, it appears like absurd. It appears like no rationally behind, or medical, or he is mentally sick. So this change has to take place for you to be a spiritual man or spiritual woman. So early part, so much of investment, it's appear like sowing seed on a barren cow, or throwing seed on a rock. There won't be any crop like. But this is the way it is happening, this is the way you are going against the grain. That's the way you go against your cheating nature of your rational mind. The perverted nature of your rational mind, you do for the sake of doing. And while keep on doing, you rational mind is always asking results, result oriented and geared for that. But you do out of faith, you do out of your energy, you do with choiceless awareness, you do with non-judgmental mind, And when it is happening, for the outsiders, even to your inferential knowledge, appear like absurd. Appear it is no reason behind. So therefore, any person going through this neck is a person ready to reshuffle one's likings and dislikings, one's personality traits, one's habits, one's addictions. So it is happening very slowly. At the beginning, the depth of the abhidhamma or adhichitta bhavana with respect to your primary object. And when you go to the walking meditation also, with respect to your left leg and the right leg. Ultimately, the interrelationship with secondary object and before walking and after walking, everything come into the three-dimensional kind of interrelations. And when it is happening, even if you are in a sleep, even you are not in a meditative mood, even you are not in a meditation hall, the mind, the process is going on. Keep on going. So therefore your definition or the name meditation at the beginning appear to be sitting in a cross-legged, keeping arm upon the arm and closed eyes in a meditation hall. But once you understand this part, meditation has no shape, meditation has no time, meditation has no space. Wherever you may be, once you mature your mind up to that level, you make, wherever you live, it becomes a meditation center. Whatever the posture, that becomes meditation posture. So there's one very radical kind of a person in India, and everyone found he is not according to the normal rule. So therefore everyone was antagonistic, and he crossed border to the China, and some Chinese people found he is something special, and message went to the king. And king invited him as a royal guest, but that particular person is completely rag robes and having a shovel in his shoulder and beaten chew beetles and with all the smell and kind of thing. As a royal guest, he went in the same shape, in the same way, without any makeup and facials, went to the court. And king found something odd and asked that I have prepared 84,000 meditation centers with meditation halls and dagapa and everything. How much merit I have collected? He told nothing. Then king was so upset in front of his this thing. And again he told that I have observed so much of precepts, I have done this and that. How much I have collected merit? Nothing. And second time also, king was so upset. Before asking the third question, he said, get up, out of my jurisdiction. He turned back and started walking. And no saluting, no bye-bye. And one person sitting on the cabinet came to know this is extraordinary man. He excused the king and started following him. While following, this man is going directly to the border, and he can't overtake him. But anyway, he went with the kind of thing and told, I understand you. You are a special kind of a person. Please let me know what is the place where you like. I am going to put up a monastery. Then he took a shovel and put vehemently and vigorously here, you fellow, understand, wherever I go, this is my monastery. Mind your own business. I need no any specific monasteries or specific postures or kind of thing. You are the fellows, ministers, always asking for the monasteries and kind of thing. That means that once you understand the deep of the Dhamma, you never expect anything from the outside. Of course, till that, up to that level, you must have all the facilities, just like in the nurseries. We have to give the high humid condition, shade condition, water, labor, fertilizer, everything, as far as the plant is in the nursery. Likewise in the meditation centers, we try maximum in order to people to gain the ground. But never you must live in this intensive care for your whole life. That is not Buddhism. That is not the advancement of that, is not the adventure of the Buddhism. Once you gain that ground, wherever you go, you understand, if the mind is ready, time and space you can see, or you can see through. So for that kind of adventurous or risk-loving kind of thing happen. So sometimes I put it in such a way, some people criticize, this is more masculinity, masculine, risk lover. So most of the femininity is to have the conservative conditions and clean and all the kind of thing. So you can go to a certain extent and then you must be radical. You must be ready the risk-loving kind of a character. Otherwise you can't jump hurdle. So therefore earlier I used to say male and female, I have enough blame, I got it. Now I am carefully using masculinity and femininity. Because some females they are with masculine qualities. Some males are there with the female, the other qualities. So that is not what I mean. I mean the risk-loving character, adventurous character. They are the only people can go through this, and each time this thing is coming and tapping on your door. But your rational mind, your conventional mind, your deductive mind never let the messenger come in. Always censoring, telling, no, it is irrational, it is not what I know, it is something new, so therefore I am not ready to take it. So if it is so, you will be able in the vicious cycle, go up to that level, and you expect the whole world to enlighten, or whole world become leveled, or whole world become silent, or whole world become clean, till you to go there. Never it happens. That you have to put up, you have to understand whether I have developed that resistance. If it is so, go. Don't wait for the space and time to come into accord with you. Instead, your mind become adventurous. So that is why I told it is more relevant to the adolescence in our normal life, and passing the teenage, they are ready to do any kind of risky thing. That risky nature or taking the risky projects happen more with the peer groups than with the parents, than with the teachers. So therefore parents and teachers are not much happy if the adolescent is more and more towards the peer group. I mean, it must have a balance. Don't let all the people, all the adolescents to be with the whole peer group, then it will be naughty. But there should have a kind of a novelty, or going against the grain kind of thing. So therefore, in the meditation also, when it is happening, you must have the preparedness. You must have the welcoming idea, and you may find no second person in the world with this respect you can share. No. It is time specific, person specific, and when and where are you going to take the chance, once and for all it is happening. Otherwise, daily it will come and tap on your door till you open the door. And Buddha is not taking any responsibility, no any spiritual master can take responsibility. You are the one to be welcome it. That is why if you are aware of it, or that means you are a risk-loving kind of thing, or adventurous person, one day at your risk, the later masters used to say, at the risk of your body and the life, you take the step, and then immediately you may see there is nothing hindering, unless otherwise your phobia, your blockage, and therefore after a certain amount of trial and error, you develop this kind of a potential, and where it is going to burst, where you are this quick enlightenment going to happen, no one can predict. It is such a novelty. Once it happens, no one can rob it from you also. You can't give it to someone also, but each and every person get rejuvenated, get charged in their battery, and not by just reading the books, but their own experience, and they know now it has shown some signs and colors and lot of things to happen, but the same thing. You do as much as possible fulfillment of your courses. But don't expect any result out of that. They will come when the time matures. You, without any compromise, keep on fulfilling, and then you are there.
Bhante, I'm having trouble hearing. I'm having trouble hearing.
Understand. So that is the maybe lack of my mindfulness. Anyway, so now we have come to the end of the.
I didn't say anything sooner. I thought it's going to end in a minute, so I'll just
So in future, I invite, show me a sign, because otherwise mic has to be very close, otherwise difficult. So anyway, the last remark I made was that you must be a risk lover. You must do this at your own risk, and when it is doing there's a kind of not a very big change, kind of confidence going to give, and that itself is not going to make a big change, but indicates you are ready, you have taken the proper decision, and this is it. And that kind of, they are called quick enlightenment. Lot of things happening. More and more you go there, your advancement. You understand no hindering thing outside unless otherwise your ignorance, unless otherwise your resistance, your allergic nature. Otherwise the experience is always coming and tapping on your door. The day you go prepared, the coincidence will happen. For hope within these 10 days that will happen. With that remark, I would like to sum up today's talk. Thank you very much for listening, even with difficult hearing. Okay, we are going to take little time to share our merits with all the seen and unseen beings, and must be thankful to the frictionless advancement of the retreat, so that all the organizers, seen and unseen beings, must share the merits with us. With that sympathetic idea, sympathetic joy, we are going to recite Pali stanzas. Those who know may follow, others may listen attentively. Ittavata jangammehi sambatam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jangammehi sambatam punya sampadam utanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jangammehi sambatam punya sampadam sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanam. Sattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu mang param. Idang go ñatinang hotu sukhita hontu ñatayo. Idang go ñatinang hotu sukhita hontu ñatayo. Idang go ñatinang hotu sukhita hontu ñatayo. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu sadhu sadhu.